Hi everybody, this is Mr. Phillips. I'm recording this as always to try to give you a little intro to the Core 4 Persuasive Essay. That's where we're at this week, week 8. And I'm not sure what's visible to you. I just clicked the little publish unpublished link here. I'm not sure if it was not visible to you, but it should be now, and I apologize if it wasn't. But that is where we're at this week. So as always, we have some discussions opened up that I just opened up yesterday to get us going for the week. You have a reading journal to the end of the week, due at the end of the week. But we are jumping into, y'all are jumping into the persuasive essay, the 4th essay. And you probably have already heard, and you'll probably hear me again use the terms persuasion and argument, both, or the argument essay, argumentative writing, that sort of thing, using these phrases kind of interchangeably. And for our purposes, I want you to pretty much assume that persuasion and argument really are the same thing. You might have some textbooks or teachers tell you that there are nuances of difference between them, between persuasion and argument, and there might be. Sometimes they make the difference in whether or not you are using evidence and information to support your point, or just arguing from your own point of view and your own opinion, that maybe somehow that makes a difference between persuasion and argument. And again, that may be splitting hairs for our purposes. I don't want you to fuss too much about that. You are writing to persuade. You're writing to try to change your reader's mind or to help them formulate their opinion. So we'll click on the link here to read through the actual document as always. And this is just in the modules, obviously. So the intro to the Core 4 essay, persuasive writing. Your task to construct an effective argument on a topic and write an essay based on that argument. So right now we want to kind of separate the concepts here. The argument is kind of the outline behind the essay. The essay is not the argument and vice versa. The argument is not the essay. The essay really is obviously the written document. But the argument is what you're trying to accomplish with the essay. You're trying to build a successful argument into your essay. Your essay is based on your argument. So they're not quite the same thing. When we talk about building your argument, we are not necessarily talking about building or structuring the essay. The structure of the argument is not necessarily the structure of the essay. The essay really is a paragraph by paragraph, kind of outlining structure that we can always identify for any particular essay. But the argument is going to be the strategy behind that. So we will talk about them kind of both separately, and we'll have a different recording about what an argument is. Anyway, write an essay based on that argument that establishes credibility. So right there, stopping. Credibility is going to be really important here. If you can't get your reader to at least take you seriously, you're not likely to be able to change their mind or influence their opinion in any way. And that's what your credibility is. It's whether or not I can believe you. It's whether or not I can take you seriously. It's whether or not I respect what you have to say, or you for the way that you're saying or delivering your argument. So you need to establish your credibility, you need to maintain it, you need to keep it. So what are the ways to do that? To establish your credibility, it involves a lot of things. It might involve your tone of voice. If you're very rude, offensive, hostile with your tone of voice towards your opponents or towards the reader, well, that kind of hurts your credibility. As a reader, I don't want to be attacked and insulted. You may be factually correct, but if you're insulting me as a reader or even as your opponent, I'm not inclined to believe you. I might just do my own thing, and you don't want that. So your tone of voice can do it. Your use of research can do it. Can establish your credibility. Your use of valid, credible research. Your sources. If you're just relying on opinions, that doesn't help quite as much. Opinions can be useful here. We'll talk about that further down the page here. Opinions can be useful if they are valid opinions, if they are knowledgeable opinions. Even in a court case, sometimes, people get called to testify based on them being an expert. They deliver the expert opinion. So you can do that, but you don't want to be, mistaken opinion for fact or vice versa. So your credibility is based on your use of your sources and your presentation to the reader, etc. So what else? Appropriate documented research-based support materials, and that's a mouthful. I just do mean your research, your data, your support. It may be quotations from experts, it may be numerical mathematic data, it may be fact, maybe a lot of different things, but you do need research to support your point. I think I tried to say within your cause and effect essay that that essay did not necessarily have to be based on research. Your own analysis, your own explanation would have been sufficient. And if you're still writing your cause and effect cause and effect essay, it will be sufficient to just rely on your own explanation. But your argument essay, your persuasive essay, will need some research to back it up. Your research, again, your sources might be experts in the field, it might be real data, so it may depend on what your topic is, but you're going to need research. And you should offer a solution to the problems posed in the topic. And this, again, links back to your cause and effect essay, hopefully, where the solution is what you're proposing, what we should do about it. And that's the way I've kind of posed this, going back to the cause and effect essay, that your cause and effect essay should establish some relationship, and then to move that into the core 4 essay, what do we do about that relationship? Do we want it to happen or do we not want it to happen? Whichever way you're headed, that's the solution that you're proposing. The solution to stopping this from happening. Again, a simplistic example, just think about drunk driving. Drunk driving causes accidents. We don't want that to happen. So your argument here will be either how can we stop drunk drivers from driving drunk, or how do we stop them from causing accidents? And it's kind of one or the other. What would be more feasible? Is it more feasible to stop people from driving drunk, or is it more feasible to stop drunk drivers from causing accidents? Whichever way you want to go, you would pick one of those for your essay here, and that's the solution that you're proposing, how to do that. So the solution is, how can we make that cause and effect relationship happen, or how can we stop it from happening? So your objective is kind of the same thing as with every essay, to construct an argument for your audience. Again, you are picking an audience, and you need to think, how can you persuade those people? Because what persuades one group of people may not persuade another group. You know, different people make different decisions based on different motivations. So you got to think, who are you targeting? Who is your audience? And what will motivate those people? To demonstrate your knowledge and application of various argumentative persuasive techniques, what we'll be doing here, and kind of address this above, to distinguish fact, opinion, speculation, assumption. You can use all of these, but you need to be clear about what you're doing. Don't try to take an opinion, yours or someone else's, and treat it like fact. Opinions are not fact. Opinions can be powerful. Opinions can support your opinion. You can base your opinion on the expert opinions of others. But you need to be clear that these are opinions. Don't try to present an opinion as a fact. Your reader will pick up on that. To select and analyze and incorporate your research. And those kind of 3 steps: to select it, to see what would be useful, to analyze it, to determine how to use it, and then incorporate it. Incorporating it is everything down to the mechanics of your quotation marks and your MLA, your citations, and your works cited page. How do you quote something? So you're doing all of that. To respond to argumentative opposition, to understand that you do have opponents or people who disagree with you, and they have their own point of view and their own argument. So how can you disprove those people? In a very basic sense here, to win an argument or to build a successful argument, you got to do 2 things. You got to tell me why you're right and why other people are wrong. You can't do just one or the other. So within the confines of this 3, 4, 5-page essay, do your best to tell me why you're right, build your argument, support your point, and try to briefly anticipate, summarize, and poke holes in the arguments of other people who disagree with you. Tell me why they're wrong. And there's not necessarily any ratio, 50-50, 75-25, of how you do this. You can do it in different ways, but you do need to kind of pay attention to that, to try to tell me why you're right, use your evidence and your research to tell me why you're right, and to tell why your opponents might be wrong. To quote and cite your external sources, and I say 3 to 4. How many do you need? I don't know. You need some. 3 to 4 is kind of a number, but you may need more. You probably will need more than one. If you're just using one source, I hope you understand what I mean when I say this, but if you're just using one source, it almost sounds like what we used to call a book report. You found a source, you're summarizing it, and you're basing everything on that. And that's pretty weak. Think about again, link this to your credibility. If you have more sources, that builds your credibility because it sends the message to the reader, wow, look how much information I have. Look how much research I've done. If you only have one source, you're telling your reader, hey, I didn't do that much research. I found one, and I hope that's good enough. And that's not a very strong message to send to your reader. That doesn't really establish your credibility. So use multiple sources. And overall, to mold it all together into a single good, powerful, unbeatable argument to win the day. The topics, this is kind of a generalized presentation here. This is not necessarily, the verbiage here does not necessarily link it back to a cause and effect essay. I'm wanting to do that, but I'm kind of keeping that verbal because you can change topics altogether. You can. Maybe you decided or discovered during your cause and effect essay or since then that you're just kind of burned out on the topic, or maybe you're not quite sure how to turn it into an argument. Okay, that's fine. You can pick a new topic. You can start from scratch here. It's not illegal. So I'm trying to keep this, verbiage here more generalized instead of just directly linking it to a cause and effect kind of topic that you would have already written about. So if you are picking a new topic, pick carefully. I do have what I call the forbidden zone, and again, you can do even some of these. You just maybe try to narrow it down a little bit, try to find a more focused angle. To try to write for or against abortion in a 3 or 4 page essay really can't be done. The topic is too broad, it's too deep, there's too much information, it's too worn out. You can't just do that in 3 pages without just regurgitating everything that we've already heard a million times. And there's always the what about issue of information that you're not talking about because the issue is so broad. Drug legalization, the same thing. Any of these topics are really broad. So maybe narrow any of these down. If you're headed towards any one of these, try to narrow it down. Instead of just global warming, climate change, is there some aspect of it? Is there a natural gas versus petroleum type issue, or something like that? Is there? Are you arguing for or against a specific type of renewable energy? To narrow it down beyond just this broad topic. Try to do that. Scroll back up here. Anytime you wish, 3, 4, 5 pages, and you're not counting your works cited, your MLA. You'll have a works cited page, but that's not a page of text. All the standard material that we're looking at, I'm going to be using the same rubric I have been looking at or have been using here. We got the due date coming up here. This includes, all the Thanksgiving holiday type things going on. And that's pretty much it for this document. Again, you can read through my material here about, why some of these, what I call the forbidden zone topics would be pretty broad and maybe inappropriate for an essay like this. You can read through this. But again, even some of these I'd be okay with if you are able to maybe narrow down. And if you are wondering, run it past me. Just shoot me a quick little message here within the course, and I'll try to help you out to focus on a particular angle or something like that. I will be grading the cause and effect essays here very, very, very soon, probably starting tonight or tomorrow morning, to try to churn those out as soon as I can. So that's where we're at into this week, the persuasive essay. Again, this is week 8 here. Maybe I can put out a different little discussion here or a little video about these readings here that we'll get into, that y'all will get into, but please do get into these, get started on this discussion. All right, I hope to hear from you. If you need to, you can contact me through this, like I say, I always prefer the Canvas, the in-course messaging system, the Canvas, rather than email, because emails tend to get buried. I get so many from the campus and everywhere else that emails just slide right down and it becomes an out of sight, out of mind. But right here in Canvas, I know it's focused to this class, to your class, so I always prefer that y'all reach me through Canvas here. That way I'll definitely see it and I'll respond almost immediately. So if I do need to hear from you about topics or any questions, please do. Otherwise, keep working hard, get working hard. I'm going to keep doing my end and keep grading these essays that have been rolling in. If you are missing any assignments, please get them in. If it's essays, if it's reading journals, discussion posts, please get them in. We're headed towards the end of the term, and your calculated grade in Canvas is there for you. So let's get those numbers up. If it's reading journals, they can be churned out in just a few minutes at a time. If it's an essay, it may be late, but it's better than nothing. Zeros are devastating. You don't want zeros in your grade book. So get me something to grade. And you can see if you're in a lower grade right now, you can see a dramatic difference if you start plugging in those missing assignments. So keep working hard. Y'all are doing great. I'm going to end this recording, get it processed and loaded up into Canvas, and you'll get some more material from me very, very soon. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.